Welcome to Dove and Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with my very special guest today, a multi-talented entrepreneur, Adrienne Alitowski. And I'm going to butcher that until the end of the day, I swear.
You have a complicated one too. Yes.
It happens. I mean, we all can't have nice, pretty last names of Smith and Jones, right?
No, it's Adrienne Alitowski. You did pretty good though.
Thank you. So, okay, we have a couple of things going on. You have a new book getting ready to come out.
Yes.
But your book is on a product that you invented.
Yes. So it was a product called blankyclip, and it's a baby product that I invented out of necessity when I became a new mom and there wasn't a clip that could keep my blanket from falling off my stroller. So I thought, well, let me just go make that happen. And so I invented it. And the book tells the journey of how that happened and how I got it manufactured and patented and the whole story and getting it into stores. And the book is called Clipped because it tells the story of what happened building a business during the Great Recession and what happened to so many small businesses. I was one of many that met that fate. But it was a great thing to invent it, and I still have patents for it. And now my project has been the book.
We think about inventing products, and we don't always know as an entrepreneur how to do it. So books like Clipped is wonderful for instructing people. Here's how you get a patent. This is the struggles that you're going to go through. Here's your headaches.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's not just cut and dry like people think.
Right. No. And I had no idea. My background, I was an actress. I was going to get a sitcom. It was all going to go great. And then I had a baby and it got harder to do the auditioning and running out and figuring out how I was going to manage that. And so I thought I'll do something that I have a little bit more control over. It's like I had no idea what was in store for me. I first thought I would just license the idea because, a big company would just want to make this product.
Right.
But that is not so easy to do. They have their own people that develop at those big companies. So I was just figuring it out as I went step by step and started with a prototype and went from there.
Yeah, see, inventing anything, my uncle invented a product, 18 years ago or so. So his struggle, he never actually got it into stores, but just to get it made, just a prototype made, it was like pulling nails, and it's still not perfect. But it's a struggle that so many inventors go through.
Yeah, you have to find a way to actually go, okay, I have this thing in my head and now what do I do? And you find somebody that actually knows how to do that. And I found this great guy and he built it for me. And because it was a clip that had to go onto a baby stroller, the tension of it was a big deal. And so we went back and forth like, no, it's too tight. No, it's too loose. How much so that it could actually grab onto the stroller and the design of it. And it started out just looking like a padded clip. And then I thought, well, let's make this little cuter. And I added the little animal design. So it became more like a plush toy, like a stuffed animal that a baby would want to maybe hold when it's not in use. So that had more appeal. So you just, you go step by step and you're continuing to discover and develop as you go.
Right. Because if it's just going to have a function of being stationary on a stroller, it has to have a certain tension because, it's not going to go anywhere. Versus if the baby's going to actually hold it at some point, then you need a different tension because you don't want to hurt the baby.
Exactly. So, and I was lucky I had my guinea pig, baby that I could try it on. It's like, Eli, how does this feel? You're not crying? Looks good.
Isn't that wonderful when we get our kids involved in something that we're doing? Because as mothers, we have to have our children, hey baby, here, have this. Exactly. Do you like playing with this? Do you like this? We use our kids as guinea pigs, regardless of what it is, because they're there.
Right.
And if it's suitable for our kids, then it's going to be suitable for any kids.
Exactly. And it's funny because you become a mom and suddenly you're supposed to be this expert on everything, and you're supposed to understand baby food and products and what to do with them and how to, and you're figuring it out, but you can't let them know that. So, it worked a little smoother with number 2, that's for sure.
Number 2 is always easier than number 1. Yeah. Always, because,
Yes.
First you have to go through trial and error. So you make a bunch of mistakes with number 1, but usually there are a lot of funny things that we can either use with number 2 or not use.
And the funny thing is, like, so my number 1, he wanted to be pushed. He wanted to be moved in order to be rocked to sleep. I mean, that's like such a demand, right? It's like, my goodness, I'm supposed to be like taking a breather when you sleep, but he was like, no way. So, I mean, we would have friends come over and like rock him, he'd love to be just shaken and rocked, and then he would pass out. So I just discovered, okay, well, I'll just get him in the stroller and go out, and I'll do errands, and I'll just keep moving. And I was just like the gal on the streets of West Hollywood, California with the baby. And then that led to this issue of like, oh God, this blanket, like I have to keep him covered, because if the light comes in and and then if I could get the blanket on the top, the bottom would swing and hit him and wake him. I'm like, oh my God, I need it for the top and the bottom. And so that led to the whole, creation of this product. Meanwhile, baby number 2, like, no, it was just set her down and she went to sleep. I mean, it was like, oh, I wouldn't have invented the product if all babies were like you,
Exactly.
So, yeah,
it's 100%, trial and error. But if we don't have these little stories, we don't invent what we're meant to invent.
Right. Yes.
And that's the whole thing. We have to get this idea out. How do we get the idea out? Well, we're giving something that's given us a challenge. In our case, is the baby. It's
right.
If we don't have the baby challenging us, then we don't grow.
Right. Exactly.
But at the same time, after we get the idea, then we have to go through, okay, how do I patent? How do I get a talk to 3M, for just example? I know 3M didn't pick it up, but at the same time, if I had this idea, how do I do this? How do it's a lot of things that we have to go through.
Yeah. And I hope the book helps people who think, I have an idea, but I have no idea, what on earth it's just in my head. How do I get it out? Mm-hmm. And part of it is just doing it. It's just trying. It's just, each day there's a new thing that you discover. Like really, I think what I'm trying to say in the book is like, you don't have to have all the answers. I mean, even after hearing about my story, someone else's journey will be, of course, different. So it's really meant more to just inspire people to go for their dreams, follow their passions, and to not be stopped, because we're our own worst enemy, right? It's like
we are our own worst enemy. I mean, how many times do you say, oh, I can't do this because I don't know how? Right. Well, here's a tool. Here's Clipped is a tool. Yeah. So if you take the tool and you actually use it, you might have a little bit of, I can't because I don't know. Now I can't because what's your next because? So you find a tool to answer that because, then you get out of your own way.
Exactly. And I found when I was writing the book, of course, I didn't know how to write a book either. It's like, okay, I did the product. Now I got to write a book. I don't know how to do that. And so I read other people's memoirs and I looked at like, okay, how are people putting a memoir together? And that was great, just to see, okay, how the voice can be so different. My tone is very conversational. I'm not trying to come off like, this is a work of Dostoevsky. It's just more just me sharing my story. And so I saw books that look like that. And I thought, okay, that made it a little less daunting. And then, began the journey of how do I do that? And learning, okay, maybe you don't say everything. Maybe you don't, need to tell people how they should feel about it. That was a thing I did at first. It's like a lot of emotion and a lot of telling people like, do you see how, my God, this thing I went through, and then by pulling some of that out and pulling back, which an editor advised me to do very wisely, it allowed the reader to do that. And even myself, I would read it and think, oh my God, this is way more powerful now when you just kind of say a little bit less. Mm-hmm. So even that was a great, moment of, okay, am I going to not do it because I don't know how, or am I going to just keep learning and do it and keep growing as a writer and, get there eventually. So it took a while, but I'm, really proud to share the book now.
That is a wonderful experience because people don't correlate being a product to a book.
Mm-hmm.
Your book is your other product. You invented a book.
Exactly. I
You
like
have
that.
to look at it like that. You have to look at it as it's a product. It's not just a piece of art. Well, it is art, but it's not just a piece of art.
Right.
You have to market it because being an inventor is also your business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I often, as I was writing the book, would hear, oh, I have a story.
Mhm.
Oh, I have a book. But it's that next step. It's actually sitting down and, beginning to write and opening the computer and going, oh my God, do I dare? Do I dare? And I was very encouraged by my husband, by friends, and I would share along the way. And, God bless the people who read all the different drafts along the way. That
we
helped
love
me
our
get there.
beta readers because without
Yes.
them, the book never gets published.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. I can only imagine what was going through their heads. As the book gets shaped and kind of whittled down to what's really important, what really needs to be there. So yeah, it was a fun process.
So we go through the book writing process. You go through writing and all that there. Then you go through the editing in your beta readers, and your beta readers probably have read 4 or 5 drafts before we get to the published one.
Right.
And then you go to, oh, how do I market this wonderful book my beta readers just fell in love with?
Yes. So that's the next step I'm in right now. Exactly.
Yeah, it's going through everything. Everything's just like inventing your clips, and everything's like running a business. You have to have your marketing. So you do interviews like you do if you're an actress, and you are one, you do interviews promoting your whatever show you're doing on. So you do that like you do your books.
Yeah.
So in your products, you do your interviews, you have marketing, you have people that go, I love this book, please buy it because it's awesome.
Yes.
And you build your brand like that. Your brand's not just the product you invented, but your brand's also your book that's correlated to your product.
Right. And it's another one of those things that you could go, oh God, forget it. I don't know how. I mean, most of life is that, right? I mean, we wouldn't do anything if we didn't have to figure it out and learn and ask for help and keep exploring. So I noticed people were doing book trailers, and I thought, oh, that sounds super fun. And so I made a book trailer, and I'm in it since it's a memoir, and it was really fun to record it and kind of tap into the acting days. So figuring out how to make the book accessible, how to let people have a sense of what it is. So that's what I'm up to now. That
is wonderful because there's so many things that with inventing in books, in acting, whatever medium you're doing, because you do a lot, it's all correlated together. And the more that we teach people how to do this, because we're going through it as an inventor, as an author, as a publisher, whatever you're doing, it's all the same. We need to teach people because we have to take away the I don't know. Right. I don't know. Okay, great. Right. So that's where you're starting. And now how do we get there? What do we figure out today? What are we going to learn today? Who are we going to talk to? Who are we going to share our story with that connects us to something else? And the more you share, I just find it's like the things I get from people are, I mean, it's how it was the support of having a baby was through sharing. It's the support of the product. It's all of it. So important. We can't just kind of hide in a hole and, I think you need a village to create whatever you're creating. It's not just one person, it's a village. It doesn't matter if you're raising a child, doesn't matter if you're inventing something, writing a book, whatever it is, it takes a village. Absolutely. So we're connecting villages now. We're connecting the author world. We're connecting the mommies need clips for the babies because, 18 years ago, I needed something to give to my daughter and didn't have it on her stroller. It's now we have it and I don't need it anymore because my baby is now 18, but at the same time, it's something that I didn't have the knowledge to do what you did. Yes. So
there are, I'm sure, as we're going through the time that we're in,
Mhm.
it's very similar to, there's a lot of similarities to what the Great Recession and sort of the economy and things shifting and stores changing and the landscape looking a little different. We're at that time again. And so I'm hoping that through the book Clipped, people can sense like, okay, there are things that it's cyclical. People go through things and they get past it, and we'll be okay. And maybe there's something new right now that we need, that because of this time period, somebody has a great idea on how to solve it. And so that's always exciting, right?
So now we take that idea, they go
Yeah.
read Clipped, and then they learn how to do it.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing. I mean, we
They go,
wouldn't
wow,
have.
if she could do it, I can do it.
I know,
Yes.
if any of us can invent, what you invented, and then write a book of how the struggles we went to get it out there, anyone can do it. It's not rocket science. It's not something you have to have a degree in. It's something they have to have passion for.
Exactly. And just be willing to make mistakes and then move on,
Mhm.
and then figure out another way. So the path that, however you think, right, is probably not going to be the path. But, you start with your idea. You start with your vision. What do you think you need to do? And then you'll sort of meander and kind of find your way. Right.
Now, are you working on anything else right now?
No, right now. Well, you mean product wise?
Products, books?
It's this book, it's Clipped. Yes. And yeah, it's bringing that into the world. And I've been raising my 2 kids, and now they're teenagers. And so that's a whole other, important time that you need to have focus and be there for them. So that's always been super important to me. So those are the worlds I'm juggling now.
Oh, you're in the fun years. Okay.
Ah.
Yeah. So you don't have time to write or invent right now. You're in the mom, I need something stage.
Exactly. No, I got told last night, I'm going to this. I'm going. I thought, oh, that's interesting. You don't drive, you don't have access to any way to get there, but that's very interesting that you're going there. And tell me more. So we had a conversation about how maybe it's nicer to say, are you available? Could you please take me to this particular place that I would like to go to? And here's who I'm going to go with. So it's very funny.
Yeah. So as an author, you don't have time right now. I can tell you right now, the teenagers are not good for writing anything. It's good for like jotting things down for like 5-6 years from now when you have time. But right now, no.
Lots of papers and little notes everywhere, and
Mhm.
putting it all together. Exactly.
But
But I'm excited because I'm launching November 4th,
Mhm.
the book. So that'll be a fun thing to include, is the, getting it out there and participating in interviews and readings. And I'm really looking forward to the feedback from people, how it
Great.
affects them.
So we're looking for feedback as soon as the book comes out. How can people find you to give you that feedback?
Well, it's a good thing I have a website. So the website is my name, adriennealitowski.com. And it's a mouthful to spell, but it's ADRIENNEALITOWSKI.com. And you can reach out there. I'd love to hear from you. And I have other things that I've written, musings on my site, and there'll be information about the book and any other publicity and things if people want to know about. So
Yeah, everything's there. I have the site right in front of me, but I always love listening to the author tell where the site is, because we want the readers to connect to you. I don't need them to connect to me to get to you. I need them to connect to you directly.
Well, I appreciate that.
So it's always fun. And the book is out, and there's a lot of little things in the book that can be used not just for inventing, but also running your business.
Yes.
So
Because it went from, I have an idea, to I actually found myself in China, manufacturing. So they went from, actually needing to figure out, okay, where does the product go, and how do I ship it, and where do I store it? And then the stores and the buyers and accessing them, and the trade show, and all those steps that kind of followed from that. So once you have the product, how do you get people to know about it and selling it. And so all of that's
It's all business, entrepreneurial information. It's all there. And you just have to go through the toolbox to find what knowledge you need for your next journey.
And I'm also sharing the mom part of it, because that was always, I mean, when you have little kids and you can't remove that, right? So
no, you can't.
Yeah, so it's like the journey. And in that time, it was the challenge of my husband was laid off. And so we dealt with those type of recession, issues, and how do you navigate that, and how do you keep a marriage together, and how do you keep the kids happy, and how do you get them into schools, and just all those things that don't stop as you're continuing to, figure out how do you get your product into a store. So that was, that's part of it too. And our journey to have our second child, and fertility issues once you're starting a family at a later age, that's a whole other thing. And so I'm very open about
everything's in there. It's not just, oh, here's a product, here's the steps. It's, you have life in there too. You're going to have 20-year-olds reading this. You're going to have 40-year-olds reading this. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. There's something there for you.
That's my hope. Yes. For
So,
sure.
I mean, we have the mommy issues. We have the family issues. We have the building a brand issues. We have the patent issues. We have the book issues. I mean, everything's there. It's just, where do you want to start your journey? And your journey starts with clip and following this, because you have to follow it to get your journey out there.
Exactly. So yeah, I hopefully didn't leave anything out.
I don't think you did. I think you covered just about every base that you can possibly cover as an entrepreneur.
Thank you. And it's interesting, because when I was writing the book, the landscape was changing. The economy was, we were starting to learn about what happened. So it helped inform the book in terms of, okay, wait, why was it why did those stores close? Why weren't there buyers at the trade? And all of that started to be revealed. And the world looked a certain way, and things were picking up. And then now, we got hit with the pandemic and all kinds of things. Again, people feel like, oh my goodness, I thought everything was going well. So it's interesting that now is when the book is out, and I hope there's a way people can kind of connect and find solace in whatever they're going through right now.
I'm very sure they will, because our landscape on everything is changing yet again. I mean, you have how many people laid off, which is what we had in 2008. You have places closing, which is what we had in 2008. You have crisis with supply lines, which we had in 2008. So everything that's happening now isn't new. It's new to today, but it's not new to the world.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because it just, and I find like reading somebody else's story, it just, you just kind of take a breath about your own life. It's like hearing someone else's pain, or hearing their laughter, or things that help them get through it. That's always helped me. So I hope I'm able to do that in sharing my story.
I'm pretty sure you did that very well.
Thank you.
You're very articulate. So, I mean, it's there. And it's a story that people, okay, it's inspirational, because you actually did get the product out, and you did get the book out, and you did survive 2008, obviously. So we are all surviving what we're doing now. It's how do we get to the next step? Who do we inspire to be that next great inventor?
And who is our support system? Who are the friends? Who are the people that maybe we don't, we're afraid to share it with? And usually when you do share, something good comes out of it. Aha moment, or
are we sharing those ideas with our buddy that sits and eats popcorn and potato chips, or are we sharing those ideas with someone that can make it happen? That's always the important thing. Or talking to someone that, oh yeah, that's a great idea, here, pass the chips. Or are we, that's a great idea, let me see who I can connect you with.
Right. And, sometimes hidden in those potato chip people, there's a gem of an idea, right? Like they might get you somewhere that you didn't think you'd get to. So, because we don't all have the people that
Mhm.
we think are the right ones. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We might just have those close friends, or we might just have the people in our whatever class we're taking, or whatever thing that activity we're involved in, or the people we work with. And I was always amazed and surprised that something would, there's just, you don't know. I mean, sharing literally with somebody at the grocery store can get you some information that you didn't know.
Okay.
So just to be open is, probably the best way to
Always stay open. Always share it with your close friends, because your close friend might say, oh, have you tried LinkedIn? Have you tried, Range Me? Or, they may not have a connection on there, but they might have the knowledge to go, hey, here's an outlet. Why don't you try it?
Right. Or they might have a brother, a sister, a cousin, a friend, or somebody else who went through something similar, and they say, maybe you can talk to them.
Mhm.
So I was always open along the way to, okay, who do I need to reach out to? Who can I call? Who can I talk to? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. So, and people like to give support, I've found, and be the ones with the information. And so if you're willing to be the person seeking, they're out there waiting to be sought. So
They are, and we're almost out of time, unfortunately, but this has been great. And your book Clipped comes out November 4th.
yes.
And the product for the babies, is that still out?
I have patents for it, and I have the trademark for the name. I'm not selling it right now. I ran out of product, and so I've sort of just kept that door open. We'll see what happens with that.
Always a good thing with 2020 and 2021 being what it is with supply chain issues.
Exactly.
We run out of products. It happens.
My product would be out on a boat right now if I did have some, probably just waiting.
Yeah, it would. I mean, no lie. My mother ordered a lawnmower back in July. It's sitting on the boat in New York right now for 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, it's sitting
there. The grass is getting longer by the minute, I'm sure.
Well, thankfully we have neighbors that have been doing the grass for us, and but yeah, the supply chain issue, you can't get what you need right now. So we have to look at new creative
Exactly.
ways.
And maybe that's creating a friendship or relationship that she didn't have as well, or who knows what that's opening up, and maybe she'll be able to offer something in return. And so there we are, right?
I'm very sure it's going to be a wonderful relationship as soon as everything gets back to normal. But that is the supply chain. But we're working with inventors to fix the supply chain issue. So, not me personally, but I know someone out there listening knows how to fix something.
Really. We're waiting for you.
Yes, we are. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And for all of our readers and our listeners, happy reading.